Hello again. I've got some watercolour papers here that are made in the UK that I'm going to be testing out. I think this was something that one of my subscribers suggested, and I'm also going to use two different ultramarines. So we'll be testing the two different colours on all these different papers. So it's a bit of a test of the colours and the papers. So we've got French Ultramarine by Daniel Smith, and we have got Ultramarine Blue from Michael Harding. They are both PB29. So I'm going to put those in this palette, and then we're going to look at all of these papers one by one and see how we go. So first of all, let's get some Daniel Smith French Ultramarine. I'm going to put that over there. Oh, let's move you out of the way. And then we've got Michael Harding Ultramarine Blue. So we've got some of each there. I've got some water. This is an old, it had a candle in it, and it's a blue glass, and I think that makes a rather nice water jar. It's got its little cork kind of lid. So what am I using today? I'm using a size 10. And these are, oh, what does that say? Anyway, these came from Craftamo. I might be able to find the link. I don't know if they do these anymore, but I quite like them because they'd got the kind of rose gold, and they do go to quite a nice tip. So anyway, I'm using a size 10 round basically. So the papers that we've got, I've got two rivers, because I've got something else of theirs. Two Rivers comes from Somerset here in the UK, and it's white handmade rag watercolour paper. We've got some different sizes, or rather weights. We've got 300 GSM, 410 and 630 GSM. They're all knot paper, so they're cold pressed with a little bit of texture. And Two Rivers externally size their paper, so the lumpy bumpy bit, I don't really know what you call it really, is done externally. So it's done after the paper has been made basically, and they do that in like gelatin, they call it gelatin tub sized. So that's quite a normal procedure if the texture is just on the outside of the paper. There are some watercolour papers that are internally sized, so that the pattern or the sizing is on the inside. So we've got those. We've also got some papers from St Cuthbert's Mill, which is in Wells in England. And so I've got some Saunders Waterford here. These are 100% cotton again. They are surface sized or externally sized. They say here gelatin surface sized, acid free and archival. So we've got some different types of paper. We've got hot pressed, we've got cold pressed, and we've got rough, and they're all 300 GSM for Saunders Waterford. And then I've got some Bockingford here, also made at St Cuthbert's Mill. They're all 300 again, hot pressed, cold pressed and rough. this is what they call hard sized. Now I'm not sure what that means, but someone out there might. But it is 100% cotton again. And then this is a Milford sample. That's 300 GSM, and it's cold pressed, and it's white. So we've got those. And then I've taken this out of my sketchbook. This is Sea White of Brighton, so made in Brighton in the UK. This one is 225 GSM. It's cold pressed and externally sized again. So we've got lots of different papers here. Let me move my candle out the way. Lots of different papers here that we can try. So let's start by having a look at, because this one's handy now, let's have a look at Sea White of Brighton, and we will use the Daniel Smith. That was the French ultramarine first. So and I picked ultramarine because it's usually, or it should be, granulating unless you get the what they call ultramarine finest, I think it's called. So we're going to do watered down and fairly pigmented. And then on the right hand side, and I will keep this the same throughout, we're going to be using the Michael Harding ultramarine. And then just watered down. I just thought it would be good to pick something granulating so that we can see what the effect is like on both of the papers. So there we go. That is Sea White of Brighton with both of the ultramarines. I'm going to let these dry whilst I carry on. So let's have a little look at our two rivers. Does it oh, I'm just going to have to go by feel. Right, so that's going to be 300 GSM. Let me write on the top. That's the side. When they say externally sized, it's because one side will be smoother and the side that is got more of a texture to it is the side that you should use, I guess. So then we have got this one, which is 410 GSM. That's this way. And then this one, gosh, this is like cardboard. This is 630 GSM. I think the only time I've ever used 600 GSM was a Harnamoule. And that was a pad of watercolour. In fact, I think it was a block of watercolour. Right, so let's start with our 300 GSM and go in with our Daniel Smith. And watered down. And then on the right hand side, Michael Harding. Gosh, this paper behaves quite differently to the Sea White of Brighton. It's got an awful lot more texture and you can see it kind of feathering around the edges because of that. Yeah, that's interesting. Right, let's just get some watered down version. Yeah, it feels completely different. Okay, there's our 300 GSM. What do we want now? 410. As I said, I'm going to let them all dry before I bring them up. Oh, I rather like this 410. Didn't leave much room for a watered down. Should have gone up higher. Never mind. We've got it in there. Let's do our Michael Harding. And then watered down. There we go. And then finally, for Two Rivers paper, we have this really rather lovely 630 GSM. So Daniel Smith. I'm not sure, I'm hoping you can see how the brush kind of skips over it's definitely got more of a texture to it than some cold pressed or not papers. And then Michael Harding. And watered down. Okay, we'll pop those up there and we will move on to, let's get this open. Where is the end? Helps if I get the right end, doesn't it? Right, luckily these have already been written on, so it's going to be a lot easier to see what is what. So why don't we start with the 3 Saunders Waterfords then. So let's start with, I don't really use hot pressed, but we'll have a look and that's it. Those were all, let's keep those together up there. So we've now got Saunders Waterford. Yeah, I am in shot. This is 300 GSM and it's hot pressed. So oh, you can definitely see a difference there. It is really smooth, this paper. So let's do our Michael Harding on the other side. Okay. Running out of space. Let's put you over there a minute. Now we've got, which one should we do first? Right, this is the 300 GSM cold pressed. So this is like a medium texture. Oh, this is quite nice paper. Well, I'm actually preferring it to the two rivers at the moment. Let's see. I know everybody does seem to like Saunders Waterford. I've got one sketchbook upstairs that I haven't used yet. That is Saunders Waterford. Okay. And then we have got the Saunders Waterford Rough, still 300 GSM. And this is, they call it not just white, this is high white. The others were just white. A bit much on that. There we go. Let's water you down a bit more. Yeah, this has definitely got more of a texture to it. Onto the Michael Harding. Need a bit more water. I have used Bockingford Rough before, a long while ago. There we go. So that is all of our Saunders Waterford. What's next? We've got 3 lots of Bockingford. So hot pressed, cold pressed and rough, all 300 GSM, all of them white. So let's start with the hot press again for Bockingford. There is something quite nice about the hot press that I never use hot pressed. I think botanicals are good with hot pressed, I've been told. But I think because I do landscapes mostly, I tend to go for cold pressed. And then on a very rare occasion, rough. There we go. So let's put Bockingford over there and move on to our cold press Bockingford. 300 GSM. I definitely prefer cold pressed because it gives you a pattern. Although I'm not liking the pattern on this. It's too orderly. Would that be the right way of saying it? It looks like a pattern rather than a texture. That's probably why I stopped using the Bockingford pads now. It's a long while ago, but I think that's probably why. You'll see what I mean when I bring this up closer. Yeah, not personally, I'm not liking that, but you might like it. You might want that kind of a pattern showing through. Doesn't actually tell you about the sizing on this one, but this is mold made and it's not 100% cotton. Okay, so it's mold made but not 100% cotton. What's the other one? No, the other one wasn't either. So none of these Bockingfords are 100% cotton, whereas my other ones were. So let's let you dry and move on to the rough. I think that the sizing and that pattern might show even more. It's almost like basket weave. Anyway, this is the rough at 300 GSM. I wanted to use the same colour on each one and also compare the two ultramarines. So I'm doing two jobs in one here and seeing if it makes a difference on any of the papers. Oh gosh, yeah, you can really see that pattern on this one now. Oh dear, that circle's gone a bit mad. Never mind. Okay, so that is our rough. And then finally, our last paper that I seem to have got a blob of water on. Mucky is Milford. This is 100% cotton and it's hard sized. I don't know what that means. Hard sized, but it's saying it's cold pressed, not, and it's 300 GSM, so maybe hard sized means that there is some kind of a pattern to it, because I can definitely see a pattern again. Yeah, which I didn't get with the others. So let's just do our watered down version. Moving on to our Michael Harding. I think I've picked these two because I think Daniel Smith are probably one of the most expensive United States kind of brands. And Michael Harding is kind of the equivalent of that in the UK, I think. UK made. So that's why I've picked these two, and price wise they are similar-ish. Okay, right. I am going to get my heat gun out. Ta-da! I'm going to get these dry and we're going to bring them up and have a look at them. Okay, so we started off with Sea White of Brighton, cold pressed, 225 GSM. There is our Daniel Smith on the left, Michael Harding on the right. I think you can see a bit more granulation in Daniel Smith. on this particular paper. And to be fair, I've always quite liked this. It's really not bad paper. Yeah, I'm not moaning about that at all. I think the sizing is doesn't look like a basket weave. It seems to be fairly random. It's not too bad. So that is Sea White of Brighton. Now let's take a look at our 3 samples that came from 2 rivers. So this is our 300 GSM. I think Daniel Smith's ultramarine seems to be a bit more purpley maybe than Michael Harding's. But to be fair, they're both fairly nice. But yet again, I think this has got more granulation going on, Daniel Smith. So that's our, and the sizing, as you can see, is random. It doesn't look like a grid pattern or a basket weave, as I call it. So that is quite nice paper. I'm quite liking that. This is our 410 GSM. You can definitely see more granulation with Daniel Smith. There we go. That's nice. I'm liking that as well. There's the sizing on the paper. I mean, you can see it through the colour, but you can also see it particularly on this 630 GSM. If I bring it up right close, you can really see it's not a pattern there. Daniel Smith on the left, Michael Harding on the right. So those are our 2 river samples. I got those from Jackson's, by the way. They were just as samples. Moving on, what did we do next? We did Saunders Waterford. So let's bring up the hot press. So this is the hot press with Daniel Smith, ultramarine, and the hot press with Michael Harding's. And that's not too bad. And it is quite nice, smooth paper. There is a slight you can see the pattern, well, not pattern, what would I call it? You can see that it's not completely flat, but it is nice and smooth. So that's the Saunders Waterford 300 GSM hot press. Then we had Saunders Waterford 300 GSM cold pressed. Here we are with the Daniel Smith, and here we are with Michael Harding. And that's, you can see the, bringing it up as close as I can, you can see the sizing on that. It's a random, it's not a pattern. Then we have the rough, so it's got more texture. Here's our Daniel Smith, and here is our Michael Harding. So there we are, that's the rough, and that's the high white, as they call it. And if I bring that up, you can see the sizing on that paper. What did we do next? We did Bockingford next. So we need the hot pressed first. So here, whoops, here is the Daniel Smith. You can see it's tried to granulate there, even on the hot pressed paper. There we go. You can definitely see the granulation in it. You can see the granulation in the Michael Harding. There we go. So that is our hot pressed white 300 Bockingford. Let's move that out of the way. then we did the cold pressed with Bockingford. So Bockingford is not 100% cotton. The others all were. So there we go. It tells you at the top there. And here is Daniel Smith's. And I think you'll see what I mean about there's more of a kind of a pattern to it almost. If I bring that up. Which doesn't look as bad now that it's dry, to be fair. It looked worse when I was painting it. Anyway, moving on to the rough. Bockingford rough. There you go. I think you can kind of see what I mean down here. It looks like a grid. And you can see that in the rough there. So there we go. There's the watered down. There. And there for Michael Harding. So that was the Bockingford rough. And finally, we had Milford. I'm not quite sure what went on here, but that's Milford. And personally, I don't like the pattern on this one. This is a personal thing, obviously. Some of you will like that kind of a pattern, but I'm not so keen on seeing that pattern coming through. I want it to be a bit more random. So even though this is 100% cotton, it's called hard sized, and maybe that is what hard sized means. You can really see the sizing in the paper, the texture in the paper. So there we have it. And to be honest, I'm still quite... Did I bring Sea White of Brighton up? There you go. It has got a bit of a pattern, but not too bad. Okay, so we have all of those UK made, so made in the UK, watercolour papers, all different, hot pressed, cold pressed, rough, etc. What would I pick as my favourite? It would be between Saunders Waterford cold pressed and the Two Rivers. I like those. Let's bring them down. The Two Rivers and the Saunders Waterford. There's the sizing. There's the sizing. You see it's all random. And it's just confirmed that that's what I like. So those would be my picks. I'm very pleased because I have actually bought a Two Rivers, use this, plein air pad. It's got 16 pages, 400 GSM knot, 14.5 centimetre by 21 centimetre cotton rag paper. And so as I don't forget what that is, I'm just going to cut that just there to take it off. So this has got a hard plasticky cover and then cardboard on the back. You can see when you open it up, you have got this cardboard piece, and then here is the paper, and it's got those deckled edges, and it is nice and thick. So Yeah, I don't normally have sketchbooks that are more than 300. So this is 400, well, 300 to 400 it says. So I'm guessing they can't be exact with it. But, yeah, and then it goes, look, it goes quite flat as well. Look at that. Wow. Okay, I'm kind of loving it. I love that it's all handmade. I'll keep that as my bookmark so I know what it was that I bought. So, pleasantly surprised because I hadn't tested these papers before I ordered that sketchbook from Two Rivers. I didn't get that from... Sorry, I did get that from Jackson's. I actually ordered it from Two Rivers themselves and their website. So, what do you think? What are your thoughts? What would you pick? And do you think there are maybe other papers out there that are a lot better? Maybe, I mean, I've got Arches upstairs. I might have Fabriano, I think. And I know I've got Hahnemühle. Would you like to see some other papers tested? I'm going to hang on to these so that I know what it is that I like and don't like. Anyway, I will see you again next time. So take care, everybody. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notice bell. See you again.